again.
Hey, it was pretty good. A little tiring, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of grading.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I did so much grading. I actually had my friend's nephew's birthday party, and he just turned 3, and it was just so fun.
Oh.
And it was at Chuck E. Cheese. He really likes Chuck E. Cheese, so that was a really fun thing I did. And then I caught up on grading, obviously,
Yeah.
because I was so behind, and it was just ridiculous.
At least we're not in high school.
Yeah, oh
where
my
grading
gosh.
would be a lot more.
Or like grading papers.
Yes.
I hate that. That would be so much work.
Yeah, those long papers. Like, you don't
Right.
write papers now, but they're a lot easier to grade.
Right. Because they're just like, not as
as
intense.
detailed
Yeah,
or
yeah.
as many words,
Right.
You wouldn't have a second grader write a 1,000-word paper.
Right, no.
Or
like
expect anything
2,000
good.
Right. It's just like very simple.
Yeah, just
Did
trying
I
to get
get
the
it or not?
basics.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good.
Right, I agree. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So this is over the social studies assessment.
Yeah.
Mine were not great.
Mine's, there were a few that were,
I
up
only
there.
had-
And
yeah.
then the other ones were like, alright, need some serious work.
Yeah, I only had like 80%, one proficient. And I had
I've only had a few.
I had 2 C's and then like 2 D's.
I had 2 F's of 50%.
Oh, wow.
Yes. It's very, it's very sad
Yeah.
to see that, but at the same time I realize, gotta figure out what the problem is so we can help
Right.
it fix that. Can't move on with 2 kids, who obviously aren't getting it.
Exactly.
Even if the rest of them are, because then,
Mhm.
they're just not going to be able to get the rest of the stuff as we build upon that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about some of the learning targets. So for these we had the grade level expectations we had for this were construct maps with title and key, identify and locate the world's 7 continents and 4 oceans, identify and describe physical characteristics in the world such as landforms and water bodies, and describe how transportation and communication systems have facilitated the movement of people, products, and ideas.
Yes.
So as far as like the 4 GLEs, I think that they're pretty solid. Like for me, and especially some, it was like either a ton of people got one specific question under one of those grade level expectations, but they did terrible on another question. Did you kind of notice that too?
Yeah, like
Did that
there's
happen
a
in the
lot.
field?
There
It
was
was like they couldn't grasp the full grade level expectation. There
like
was
they
a lot
could get
of
like
divide.
some of the basics and the foundations, but there's like one foundation they just couldn't get.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them I'm not as worried about because like there was one question: is it as necessary for that foundation they need?
Right.
Like it would be good for them to have it, but if they don't have that question or that knowledge, they could still understand the grade level expectation and meet that.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about some of the I can statements. Don't you have those somewhere?
Oh yeah, all like 8 of them.
Oh wow.
It's a lot.
Okay.
This is a big unit for us.
Yes. Okay.
Alright, so we have, I can make a map with a title and key. I can name and locate the 7 continents.
Okay.
Obviously, you can also name and locate the 7 oceans.
Yes.
I can name land formations and their characteristics. I can list identify different forms of transportation, and the same goes for communication. I can describe how transportation has facilitated aided the movement of people, products, and ideas.
Yes.
And then the same for like, so basically we have 2. One is like facilitated the movement of transportation, like how transportation facilitated the ideas, and then how communication facilitated it.
Yeah.
Which is basically, the GLE, but just broken down to 2 different parts.
Right. Okay. So as far as the I can statements go, I think that it was kind of the same thing where like some of them, they couldn't complete like a full I can statement.
Yeah, like they got like some of the parts you're like, okay, yes, they're getting it, and you get to that one dreaded question, you're just like, or they got most of it.
Right. Okay. So let's look at some of the specifics.
Yeah.
So I have I looked at the whole grade.
Yeah.
And some of the questions. So like there were a few questions that everybody got right, and it was 100%.
Yeah.
But there's like 2 questions where only one person got it right.
Out of all of ours.
So like only 10% were proficient.
Yes.
Or like got it right. So that was really, really hard. But we had more 100%, so that we only had 2 10%.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of people get every single question right. And then we had a few like a couple 50% got it right, a couple 40%.
Yeah,
so,
but most of them were up at that 80 and over.
Yeah, or like 60. There was like a couple 60s and 70s, stuff like that. But overall, it's just like, I think that, hang on, where is this? This is what I wanted to look at.
I mean, but I was looking at some of the questions, And like some of the questions is very understandable of how they got it wrong. Like
Right.
I was looking at number 2.
Yeah,
And I realized it can be really confusing because who has an area of barren land characterized by roughly eroded ridges, peaks, and mesas.
Yeah.
Now that there, I realized is a very sophisticated question.
This
for
person
a
circled it, so I
secondary,
think that they kind of didn't get this.
I think just the if we were to do this again,
Mm-hmm.
we'd have to like really hit and teach like those terms that build up the definition. So like
Right.
ridges, peaks, and mesas. Like really
Yes.
just build that up. Yeah, it's in their books that they read.
Right.
And yeah, it's in the
Like, learn
lesson.
it.
But like I feel like that's something they can easily forget as part of
Yeah.
the definitions.
Yeah.
Like just trying to hit into those words and like explain what those words mean so
Okay.
they can visualize it.
So like for specifics, out of the whole grade level, only
Yeah.
20% were proficient and higher.
Yes.
So 80% were not proficient, but I had a couple that were close. So it wasn't like everybody totally failed.
Same.
But I think we need to work on a lot more specifics.
Yeah.
So like for some of the strengths, were like they knew 7 continents pretty well. They just didn't know like the location of some of like the oceans, and then they knew like specific landforms. They knew like the mountains was one that they knew, but like they had trouble with like the Badlands.
Yeah.
So we should focus more on some of those like obscure terms.
Like the ones they just don't hear in everyday conversation.
Yeah. And then like another thing they struggled with were like the history of some of the inventors in transportation, like the question about Carl Benz.
Yes, that was the one I was referring to earlier.
Yeah.
When yes, it's good to know, but not knowing wouldn't ruin their ability to answer that grade level expectation.
Yeah, that's true. And then another thing they were good at was like understanding forms of communication. They understood like what a telegraph was, and
they understood like which one, like they understood that a polygraph wasn't a form of communication in question
like,
5.
They understood like what the Pony Express was and what it is.
Oh, and I realized in a short response, when they had to like talk about a form of communication, they were able to do that and talk about like its contributions.
Yeah.
Which I realized was really good, even if they didn't, and they did that for transportation pretty well as well. Like they could, answer that question about like, describe like a transportation, like how it like, helped. They just couldn't understand like the very, in-depth, question about like who made a very specific thing as the first stationary gasoline engine.
Right. So I think like the test was good. We could try to format it.
I think maybe formatting the questions and maybe more, like using more simpler terms for them, so that they they can visualize, like instead of using like a ridge, but like say something that they can see and tell like that's what it looks like, without actually having to know what that specific word means.
Right. And then another strength was like some of the basic transportation, such as like train.
Yeah.
But they kind of struggled with like the like I said, like the history of some of the transportation.
Yeah.
And then they also did really poorly. That number 24, the question about constructing a map.
Yes.
Only one person did that right in my group.
Yes.
It was very struggled. We struggled a lot.
The problem was they just forget some of those key elements,
right?
Like the ones that you have to have on a map. So I feel like honestly for that one we might just have to have like a mini lesson.
Yeah.
Reteaching like the elements of a map so they can understand.
Yeah.
Like one question asked like the answer was like a title, but like some of the words I guess in the definition of it confused them.
Right.
And I think like just re-hitting like all that, just be like, hey, okay, so this right here, like
yes,
that would be very good. But yeah.
Alright. So let's talk about
which one was like the one they did like the worst on of your notes
of all the different GLEs,
or like just like the question, like which question
did they do the worst on?
Yeah,
it was a tie between I think it was actually for me it was number 2. I think every single person got that one wrong. Yeah, which was the one about the Badlands and I think that was not just necessarily, that was probably more formatting of the question.
Yeah, I believe so.
Than the actual knowledge of the question. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's something we should talk about. So let's talk about some strategies. Do you want to talk about strategies to fix some of these?
I think we should make a SMART goal.
Okay, let's talk about SMART
goal.
That way
we can that way we easier to narrow down those strategies.
Yeah. Okay.
So which one would you like? Which grade level expectation, or I can't say, maybe you think we need to work on the most?
Probably, I would say the identification of landforms, because
Yeah,
that was
I
for
will
me,
agree.
and there wasn't a lot of questions about that on the test per se.
Yeah, but I noticed in class as well.
Right, that
Like,
was something
it was
they
a
had
struggle.
a lot of trouble with in my class, especially.
Yeah, especially like just hitting on those technical definitions they might hear as they get older.
Yeah, because like I think they just know like what a mountain is,
Yeah.
and like very vague things, and I
And
think
like
that
they can,
they should know
if you
more.
show them a picture, they can be like, oh, that's a mountain, oh, that's a plane. But when it's in word format,
Yes,
it's a little harder.
Yes. So using like visual things to help
Yeah,
that
yeah,
would be really
okay.
helpful. So like for the SMART goal, I think so only like 10% were proficient. I think we could try to increase that to 80% by the end of the month.
Okay.
For identification of landforms.
Mm-hmm.
For that from that test that we did in the social studies performance assessment that we took on March 16th. Do you think that's doable?
I believe so.
If we use,
especially if we just have like a really good like mini lesson as well as just like other things, like other strategies we obviously are gonna come up with. So I feel like that's very doable.
Do you want to talk about some strategies?
Yeah. One strategy I think we can do just like to help with landforms is just like again like that visual. So like maybe have like a big poster. And just have like a picture of the landform with the definition beside it.
Yeah.
That way they can see and like match it up. So you can see,
yes,
oh, okay, a mountain, and this is the definition for a mountain.
That's good. Yeah, I like that. And then for like the maps, we something we did in my class for maps was like have them construct a map of their own, of like their own house. Okay. And I think that helped a little bit. Obviously, they didn't do very well on the map of like the United States, so we should probably try.
The thing is, they could draw it. They just couldn't like get those elements like a title or the key or the compass.
Yeah, I think we need to focus more on like the specifics of the map for my class, especially.
I think mine as well. With. Like and just then, those elements.
Yeah, and then something else. Another strategy that I think we should try for the transportation is like maybe. I know I didn't teach that very well, I don't think, because I honestly didn't do very well. Yeah. So something I heard another teacher talk about was dividing it, not just like transportation, but like transportation in land and then like sea and then air, and like dividing it. And like a teacher told me that in a specific activity she used her scores were a lot better, and she used like a bulletin board to have like specific images of like a train for land and like a boat for sea, and like it worked out really well for her, I think.
And then you could break those into mini lessons. Yeah. Like, you know, today we're gonna talk about, you know, land transportations. Yeah, I think that'd be really cool.
That'd be really good.
I think I should try that out in my classroom as well, because obviously they struggled with that.
Right. And then did you have any strategies for the continents and oceans?
One thing that I saw like when I went to like a conference and talked with some other teachers was that they were talking about having like the continents like printouts of the continents and like doing like a lesson tied in with science where like they would find like different animals, like do a little research project with little books obviously provide in class, and like they'll figure out like, oh, you know, monkey, like a certain type of monkey lives here in Africa or like Madagascar, you know. And like they'll put like pictures of that animal and like the continent, and that way it'll just like help enforce like the idea of like, oh, you know, monkeys like these monkeys live down in here. Oh, that must be Africa, or like.
That's really interesting. I really like that. Do you think that maybe my class could join in on that lesson with you?
I think that'd be really cool. Like just to see like the two classes work together.
Yeah.
Plus there'll be more students.
Yeah. Do you want to do that like maybe in like the cafeteria or something?
Yeah.
Or like maybe the library.
Ooh, and then we can just have like a giant thing, so maybe every kid could put their animal.
We could talk to the other teachers, maybe make it like a whole grade level
lesson. Yeah, like that'd be really cool.
That'd be really interesting. I really like that. Great. So do you want to do that maybe sometime next week? I could email you about that.
Yes, that would be fantastic.
Okay, a day that works. Probably like next week. I think Wednesday's a more relaxed day for us. That'd be a day.
Yeah, that way also it just provides Monday and Tuesday to talk about it and get ready for it, like to get that little bit of research done.
Since that lesson would probably take longer, we could probably do a lesson that would be like the same time to take to do social studies and science that day, maybe, because it's tying both together. So that'd be interesting. I'll email you about that for sure next week. Well, I'll email this week and we can schedule a date.
Yeah, just let me know. That way I can like, you know, get them ready.
And I'll talk to some of the other teachers to see if they'd like to join in as well.
Get those books for them.
Right.
I have some books, but I don't think it hits every continent quite as well.
Right. Okay. So. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
I think that's all.
Okay.
Just, you know, making sure we like use those strategies.
Yes.
I'm glad to like be able to look at your data too. You know, that way I understand.
It's helpful.
You know, because like obviously there's just something going on with probably like, you know, the resources we're using.
Right.
So maybe just like, you know, just finding ways to make it more simple for them.
Yeah. So, do you want to try to do, in maybe 3 weeks after we have the lesson that we're doing together, maybe like do another assessment of some sort and then come back
Yes,
again
and
and
have
like have the
another
meeting?
look at the data.
Okay,
Yes,
do
that
you
would be
want to
good.
schedule that for maybe what's today? Let's go today. Let's go maybe on the end of the month, like around like the 20th or so.
Yeah.
Does that sound
Just
good?
the way, because, our SMART goal said that they'd be
Okay.
proficient by then. So after all these different mini lessons, obviously we'll have to take the test before
Okay.
end of month and see it and be like, okay, did we meet that SMART goal?
Okay.
Or do we have to, make a new one?
All right, so let's plan for like the end of the month to meet
Yes.
after we've
Alright.
just done the other test. So I guess I will see you then. I'll email you
Alright.
about the lesson.
Bye.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.